Hi everyone, the title of this video is to ace the GMAT. What are the three essential things you need to do? I'll admit it upfront, it's a very clickbaity title. The team deliberated, should we have a clickbaity title at all? We thought, what are we trying to tell in this video? The things that we are trying to narrate in this video have basically been condensed from the post-test debriefing from our students and the typical advice that we give to any GMAT test taker. So if the title ends up being clickbaity, so be it, we desire it, and we left this title be as it is, because these are three essential things that anyone who is serious about acing the GMAT needs to necessarily do. Let's get started. The focus of this is also about people for whom English is not the mother tongue, right? For non-native English speakers is what this, at least one of these advices basically is intended for. The other two is something that will hold good for anyone from any part of the world. The first thing is basically have a great reading habit, right? The great reading habit has two parts to it. One, ensure that you read every day. Read something other than what your work demands, other than the newspapers that you read, right? If you buy the Hindu, the Indian Express, the Times of India, the Hindustan Times, whatever you read, we generally tend to read things that are of interest to us. You'll read current affairs, you're likely to read sports page, but probably pick page 3 and read, right, to get some gossip, right? Over and above that, have a reading habit which is outside of this. And when I say have a reading habit outside of this, for a GMAT purpose, I would suggest that don't try to pick up a novel from, let's say, Grisham or like Ludlam and try and read it at this point in time. Those are again very racy novels, and like it's easy for you to stay in tune with what is happening. So you're not going to lose focus when you read those novels. Try and pick things which are not very interesting, and usually things which are out of your comfort zone, out of your regular reading zone, and try and read at least 2 articles every day. Read one in the morning, read one in the evening. And when I say at least 2, don't try to, as in like many of us try to go to extremes. We don't read at all, or you'll say, I'm going to read 10 articles a day. Neither is going to help you, right? 0 articles definitely don't help. 10 articles, you can't keep that momentum up. You can't keep that interest up for more than a week or 2. So my suggestion is at least 2, go up to 3, right? Set yourself saying that, hey, 1 in the morning, 1 during my lunch break, and 1 in the evening, right? Let me read 3 articles. Good places to pick articles to read would be things like scientificamerican.com, things like economist.com. Pick any of these places where you're going to get articles with different flavors, which are analysis oriented, which are a little more in-depth, and the context in which they are talking about requires you to focus and read, right? Keep this as the perspective to read. It really doesn't matter how long the article is. There could be articles which are about 300 words length. There could be articles which are 3000 words length. Essentially see that, hey, are you able to maintain the focus and keep engaged in that article, even in a topic that's not of interest to you? Like, build this habit, read it every day. 3 articles a day is all that you need to do. Do at least 2, 1 in the morning and 1 in the evening. And when you have read the article, do a couple of things as you have finished reading the article. Close your eyes after having read the article. Try and quickly do a 15-second, 30-second jogging your memory about what the article is. Hey, this is what the author finally said. This is a gist of what I thought the author was trying to convey to me. This is the selling point of the author. And then also see if you can quickly run through, hey, the author started this way, then went here, then went here, right? The first few days when you're doing it, you would want to revisit the article to get the idea about what was said. 4th, 5th day, your ego will not let you go and revisit the article, right? If you're revisiting the article, it essentially meant that you have not focused and read properly. It means that you have not comprehended properly. That pressure that you're going to have on yourself will ensure that the 5th or the 6th or the 7th day, right, as you start reading, you're going to focus a lot more, so that 15-30 second jogging the memory of the article is going to be a lot more meaningful to you. Put yourself under pressure when you're reading so that you recall everything, so that you stay focused during your reading. Do this. This is going to help you a lot, because for us, if you have to score well in the GMAT verbal section, again, this is kind of a thumb rule I can tell you. If you ace, right, 10 to 11 or the 11 to 12 to 13 questions in the GMAT RC, you have essentially reached somewhere around the 30 points as far as the verbal score is concerned. Because what you do in the RC, if you're able to do that well in the RC, that's going to have a positive spin-off when it comes to your ability to answer CR, because that's also a short passage. Your ability to read that, grasp it quickly is a lot better. And if you read articles from these good places that I mentioned, right, your entire ability of spotting an error in a sentence is that much better. You're not teaching sentence correction, you're attempting sentence correction questions. So a teacher who is teaching sentence correction is the one who needs to say why C is a better answer than D. It's just sufficient for a test taker to know by virtue of reading a lot that C is a better answer than D, or C is the correct answer and D is not correct. Right? You probably may not be able to articulate saying that the modifier is misplaced here, there's a dangling modifier error here. You don't need to say any of those things. So the best thing is it helps you with RC itself. The positive spin-off is it's going to have a definitely higher correlation in terms of your ability to grasp what is said in critical reasoning. And the third is your English is going to be a lot better, that you're able to get to the answer in sentence correction also a lot better. So a V30 to V32 can become yours just by improving a reading habit, right? Then you can top it up with like knowing how to solve sentence correction questions, how to solve critical reasoning questions. Make this a daily habit, minimum 2 passages, minimum 2 articles, and go up to 3. Don't do 5 or 7. Definitely you can't maintain that kind of a discipline over a longer period of time. The second thing that you need to do is basically have consistency to your preparation. This again comes back to the same thing, like trying to say, hey, I'm going to read 10 passages, 10 articles a day. Not going to happen. 3 is something that most of us can do. 2 is something which you should necessarily do. Similarly, don't say, I'm going to clock 8 hours preparation for the GMAT. 8 hours preparation for the GMAT is like basically clocking time. That's not going to really help you. Say that I'm going to stretch this GMAT preparation over a period of 3 to 4 months. I'm going to invest 2 hours consistently every day. Many people who come up with multiple things, but I think this has worked for a lot of our successful students. People who have managed to maintain this consistency, or those who have set those clear 2 hours for the GMAT. It's not that some 2 hours in a day. They said that I'm going to prepare between 5:30 and 6:30 in the morning. I'm just giving some time, find out what works for you. Or between 10:30 in the night and 11:30 in the night. Right? If you set clearly defined time windows and you know your work schedule, you know your college schedule, you know your daily routine. So you know, pick those 2 hours, the 2 hours when you're likely to be least disturbed, and turn off your mobile phone, as in like keep it on essentially airplane mode. So no one disturbs. You're not getting conflicting interest between looking at a notification that's come to you and looking at what is happening as far as the GMAT goes. So give 2 hours of preparation. Typically split it as 2 1 hours, 1 in the morning, 1 in the evening. Pick 2 time slots when it will definitely work for you. First 3 or 4 days, it's going to be a little difficult for you to get into that rhythm. But after a point, it becomes a habit. 7th day, 10th day, you know you would wake up to that, you would adjust your sleep timings, you would clear out your calendar, you'll say that like I have to be back home at 9:30 in the night if I have to start my GMAT preparation at 10:30, right? So you would make yourself, that's what happens when there's a work, you work let's say in shifts. When you work for a general shift in a company, you basically tune your life according to it. If you're working the night shift, you rework your schedule for life. So if you keep 2 1 hour slots fixed every day for GMAT, you'll make sure that your work life, your personal life, your social life, everything revolves around it and accommodates this. So having that fixed 2 hours every day is going to be a lot more important than saying that I'm going to clock 16 hours during the weekend. 16 hours during the weekend is not as effective as doing 2 hours each day for 7 days a week, right? These 14 hours are probably far more valuable than the 16 hours just during the weekend. You might probably want to add another couple of 2 hours each day during the weekend if you have a 5-day working week, but don't go beyond that. It's just then you would have just clocked time, you wouldn't have derived value out of it. The third and the most important thing that you need to do is basically maintain log. Maintain logs about multiple things. Like the first and foremost thing that I can think of is maintain a log of the errors that you make, right? This is a kind of mistake I did, right? Here I read the question incorrectly. This is a calculation mistake that I did. Here is a case where like there are 2 answer options which are close in critical reasoning. I did not read the second answer option properly. I just ticked the first one early on, right? Most of what we would classify as silly mistakes, right? Grandly, put all of those in an error log. Revisit the error log once every week. So as you keep adding to the log, you know, these are the typical mistakes you have made. Revisiting the error log basically gives you enough idea. It's like reminding you, saying that, hey, I shouldn't be making this mistake. I shouldn't fall into this trap. That itself helps you take your score easily by anything from 50 to 70 points, right? Because you don't make the mistakes that you're prone to making. You don't need to be better educated. You don't need to know a lot more subject. Your knowledge base need not increase significantly. If you just cut down your errors, if you cut down your mistakes, that itself should give you easily a 50 to 70 point increase, right? So something like a 620 can definitely become a 670 score by just following this. Error log is one thing that you maintain. Who doesn't like vanity metrics? Open any app, right? If you're trading into stock markets, the moment you open the app, they'll say where your investment today is, how much you invested, how much has it gone up, what is the XIRR, what is the CAGR, what is all of that. All of us want to know that. You are into a diet plan, it will suddenly tell you that so many calories you have consumed. right? If you're into any of these exercising apps, like running apps or like any of those things, it's going to tell you last week you averaged so many kilometers, this week you're averaging so much. Step counters. Why do all of us have these fancy watches that count our steps? So you need to have a metrics, a vanity metrics, to track the number of questions you have done, right? Essentially, you solved 14 questions this morning, say Quant 14 questions done on this day, and have some Excel sheet or any of these trackers that you can find and keep noting it. So if you realize that last week I did like 14 into 7, 98 questions in Quant, you can push yourself to saying that, let me see if I can push it to 120 questions this week. So vanity metrics are going to be extremely useful in tracking. And if you keep looking at these logs, you also know, one, what mistakes you should not do, what is the progress you are making, and you also know how much you can push yourself that you would do better week after week, right? So 3 things that one needs to do. 1, pick this reading habit. Read with, not depth, and understand and focus and read. How do you get focus? You basically challenge yourself saying that at the end of reading this, 15 to 30 seconds, I need to jog my memory and understand what was read. Second thing, maintain consistency. Don't do preparation for 8 hours a day. It's not possible. It's not meaningful. You can't maintain that consistency over a longer period of times. Stretch your GMAT preparation to 3 to 4 months, probably even up to 5 months. Ensure that you prepare for 2 hours a day. Maintain those to fixed 2 hour slots. It's not some random 2 hours in a day. Third thing, maintain your logs. Logs could be on what you have done. So those are vanity metrics to help you push yourself further, know that you can do so much, and then maintain that consistency. And if you slip on a couple of days, that's also going to stare at you. 2 days you have not done anything. The third day guilt trip will make you work a lot more consistently. And maintain error log. Revisit your error log very systematically every week. Say that like on Sunday mornings, I'm going to look at all the errors I've done till now. So you're reminding yourself saying that this is what I should not be doing. So next bunch of questions you solve, next mock test you take, next chapter test that you take, you would not repeat the mistake. And that avoiding your mistakes, not as in expanding the scope of what you have learned, will definitely help you. I'm not saying it doesn't, but just avoiding your mistakes, the mistakes that you're prone to make, could give you a 50 to 70 point lead as far as the GMAT goes, right? I think these are 3 things which, if you maintain and follow sincerely, should see you through, would also give you that enough motivation to take your preparation a lot further, right? Let's face it, gamification keeps all of us engaged in it. The vanity metrics that you're going to build with the logs is going to help you push yourself forward as far as your education, your GMAT prep goes. You can probably add one more thing. If you can find another soulmate who can prepare with you for the GMAT, right? Find a colleague, classmate from school, classmate from college, someone you have lost touch with, and if you realize that he or she is also preparing for the GMAT, then basically sharing your vanity metrics could help push each other, right? That's essentially the advantage. And sometimes if you join any of these classes, be it online classes or physical classes, you try to get a cohort with which you're going to be working. So find a couple of people there with whom you can push each other. So if you have done like 98 questions this week and the other person has done only 92, and there is a talking point and there is something in him that he wants to race past you, he's probably going to do 120 this week. So you know he's probably going to do 120. You might want to push it to 125. So this competition, right, healthy competition is going to also play into it. So planning to look at a cohort to study, right? We run online classes, right? If you want to take a demo class of our live online classes for the GMAT, we have both weekday and weekend batches. Visit this URL wzko.in/demo. If you're just about starting a GMAT preparation, just saying that, hey, I want to look at GMAT, I want to look at MBA as an option, speak to one of us, right? Set up this free GMAT strategy session, wzko.in/GMAT strategy. We give you half an hour of our time and we'll tell you what you need to do. Hey, is GMAT your route? Is GRE your route? Should you be looking at India? Should you be looking at the US? Should you be looking at schools by just writing the IELTS or the TOEFL and going to those kinds of schools, right? Each of us has a different objective when it comes to what we want to achieve through an MBA, right? An MBA is not the destination itself. Think of it, right? GMAT, MBA are all paths to reaching some other objective. So if you can chat with us, right, we do this Zoom call and help people find what would work best for them and then help them chart the course that they want to take, right? So demo, wzko.in/demo, to set up a strategy session to understand what you need to do, right? This is not a sales call. This absolutely, we'll tell you, this is what we think in our best judgment, the path that you should take. Set up the strategy session call at wzko.in/GMAT strategy. Best wishes for your GMAT preparation and MBA dreams.